Whenever we talk about the origin of life, most people immediately think of Darwin's theory of evolution. But in reality, Darwin's theory does not explain the origin of life. It only speculates on how life may have evolved after it came into existence. So how did life originate? Even today, modern science doesn't have a proven explanation. In fact, Nobel Prize-winning scientist Paul Nurse writes in the introduction of his book, "What is Life?" that science doesn't even have a definite answer to what life really is. In this video, we'll discuss what modern science and Vedic science say about the origin of life. The Britannica Encyclopedia roughly defines life as matter that grows, responds, transforms energy, and reproduces. Based on this, matter can be divided into two types: living matter and non-living matter. Everything we observe around us as life comes only from pre-existing living matter. Life always comes from life. However, modern scientists believe that the first life must have come from non-living matter. That's why, since the 19th century, experiments regarding the origin of life have focused on trying to convert non-living chemicals into living matter. In 1952, Stanley Miller, a graduate student at the University of Chicago, and Nobel laureate Miller-Urey conducted a famous experiment. They assumed that during the early formation of Earth, its surface had abundant ammonia, methane, and water vapor, and that lightning frequently struck these elements. To simulate this, they filled a glass container with these gases and applied continuous electrical sparks. As a result, amino acids began to form, organic chemicals that are the building blocks of proteins. Since all natural proteins are made from 22 fundamental amino acids, the scientific community considered this a breakthrough. But the next challenge was, how did proteins form from amino acids? In living organisms, RNA helps synthesize proteins from amino acids. In 2009, Cambridge University scientist John Sutherland discovered a chemical pathway for producing nucleotides, the building blocks of RNA, from hydrogen cyanide. So science has managed to create two major components of living matter in the lab: amino acids for proteins and nucleotides for RNA. But forming a complete functional living cell is as far from this as building a whole satellite just by creating a few nuts and bolts. Due to the intricate complexity of even the most basic living cell, many scientists have now abandoned the idea that life can be created merely by combining chemicals. As a result, in the past 2 decades, scientists have shifted focus, not on creating life from chemicals, but on replicating the internal processes of living cells. However, these achievements are often misunderstood, and the media exaggerates them. For example, in 2022, University of Tokyo researcher Ryo Mizuchi artificially replicated RNA with slight variations in the lab. SYFY.com ran the headline, "Life Recreated in Lab." Similarly, in 2023, William Ratcliffe at Georgia Tech merged living yeast single cells into a multicellular structure, prompting an Indian YouTuber to post a video titled, "Scientists Finally Created Life in Lab in Just 600 Days." In conclusion, modern science considers life as living matter, which came from dead matter. But when, why, and how it happened, science still cannot say with certainty. Next, let's look at what Vedic science says about the origin of life. Vedic science defines life differently. While modern science says living matter is life, the Vedas go a step deeper and describe life as the cause that makes matter living. According to the Vedas, life is an energy, and when this life energy enters dead matter, it becomes living. This matter then begins to show all the symptoms of life. Interestingly, both modern science and the Vedas agree on the law of conservation of energy. And so the Vedas state, just like any other energy, life cannot be created or destroyed. It exists eternally. This concept is beautifully summarized in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 20th verse. The soul is never born and never dies. It is eternal. So life energy enters matter, gives it life for a while, and then moves on to another body. But clearly, Earth was created at some point. So how did life first appear on Earth after its formation? The Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, verses 32 to 33, explains that by the energies of Lord Mahavishnu, matter organizes into various organs, which further combine to form different types of bodies. This is quite similar to the modern scientific explanation, where inorganic matter becomes organic, which then forms body components and ultimately complete organisms. But unlike science, the Vedas say this process is not automatic or random. It happens through the direction of Lord Mahavishnu, who also places individual living beings into these bodies. This is further confirmed by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, 14th chapter 3rd verse, I place the living beings into various wombs, and from there life begins. So to understand life, we must grasp that life is an eternal energy, which enters and animates dead matter. Thus, modern and Vedic science offer two different perspectives on the origin of life. Let us know in the comments which scientific topic you'd like us to cover next. Hare Krishna.